opinions of any callers, guests, or the host of the SMF Voice are not to be taken as factual information. The SMF Voice urges all participants of the show to research and fact-find on their own in order to draw their own conclusions about any topic talked about pertaining to any and all content presented in the broadcast chat or any other form of participation on the SMF Voice. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stowe Monroe Falls Voice. Joining me today, a very exciting show. Whether you love them or hate them, whether you know them or not, Miss Jeanne Fencl and Miss Deena Weber. Welcome to the studio, guys. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Before we get into things, just a few show notes of where you can find the show. If you want to email me, you can get a hold of me at smfvoice@twc.com. Of course, you can find me on Facebook at SMF. Look at Spotify, SMF there as well, and YouTube, SMF Voice. I'm sorry, SMF Voice on everything. So, to get a hold of me, if you want to give me some ideas for a show, if you'd like to be on the show or give me ideas for guests on a show, just email me. Again, smfvoice@twc.com. This is going to be next week. I'm actually not going to have a show because I'm going to be at Silver Springs Campground for the Halloween hayride up there. During, I believe it was when I was interviewing Mike Sheehan, I did a spot for it, but I'm going to do a spot for it again because it's an awesome thing here in Stowe that they do. It's at Silver Springs Park. And they do a hayride for the kids. They do s'mores, s'mores packets. They have story time. They do all kinds of stuff up there. It's a really cool thing to do. Underneath this show, I'm going to put a link so that you guys can go and check it out online because you do have to register for it. So I think it's like $5 pre-registration, and it's going to be this coming Saturday, not tomorrow, but this coming Saturday, October 12th. And so I'll be there. I won't have time to do a show, and thank God, because I'm already tired. This is only my third show. So get a hold of me on any of those areas, and then we'll see you the week after. And if you get a chance, again, just check the show notes underneath the show for that Halloween haunted hayride. It's a lot of fun. Guys, look, here we are, right? Yeah. The Stowe Monroe Falls Postcard Elite right here.
The board of directors, as I would like to call it.
Right. I came up with this idea because I think, people sometimes have a bad view of us. They get a lot of information about who we are, what we do, what we're doing. And I feel that a lot of it's unfair. They see us as being mean and bullies, right? Yeah. And I just wanted to have you guys on the show to be able to explain to everybody that we're not that. We don't do this for fun. Mm-hmm. You have a family. You have a family. You just had a grandbaby not too long ago.
She just turned 1.
Awesome. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things that you could be doing other than records requesting and looking into and being a watchdog, which is what we're doing.
Exactly.
So I wanted to have you guys on the show and just, kind of explain what we do and why we do it. But let's start from the beginning here, Jeanne. I met you, I want to say like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, it was probably around, I thought it was a little earlier than that.
It might have been. Because I know my kids were in 3rd grade, my twins. They were in 3rd grade at Indian Trail. Okay. And, I had heard about this brand new program that came along called International Baccalaureate.
Yes, good old IB.
And I couldn't pronounce it when they told me what it was. And so I went to a meeting and they started explaining it. The principal at the time, which I cannot remember his name.
That would be Mr. Lacoste.
Mr. Lacoste, that's right, yes. And so he explained what was going on, and they went over being a good global citizen, and they talked about environmentalism, and then talked about social issues and all these things that I was like, wait a second, these are kids that need to learn how to read, write, and whatever. So, I found you. And
critical thinkers.
Yeah.
That was the big word back then.
It was, like nobody else critically thought at the time.
Correct.
Right, yeah. So you had actually built up a Facebook page
I did many.
Along with several other community members. Explain some of that. How did you get involved with International Baccalaureate?
Well, I actually went to my first board meeting, and I was sitting there with my friend, and the comments, people were going up, and they were talking about IB, and they weren't getting any answers. And I'm looking at my friend, and I said, wait a minute. Why aren't they answering them? Are they going to come back after everybody's done and answer? No, that's not how it's done. You know, with IB, I sometimes wish that I didn't go to that board meeting. I think my life would have been a lot different, you know, because I put in a lot of time during that time. You know, I had a baby. You know, I had 2 kids in travel sports, dealing with, you know, her and just going through things. And it was like things just weren't adding up. Right. Yeah. You know, so, and one of the things we found out that board was not approved IB. It was up at the time. It was a different administrator that went ahead and did it. And that's how, and luckily we were able to stop it at Indian Trail.
And we did. Well, that was a hard fight.
It was a hard fight, and there was only a few of us, you know, but we really went through a lot. I mean, computers hacked, tires slashed, cars getting egged, lights on cars getting, you know.
A lot of just intimidation.
A lot of intimidation to back off. And it's like, we didn't back off because it was the right thing to do. Because IB was actually an NGO of the UN. So we were going under UN territory here.
Right.
And that's definitely not local.
No, it's not.
So we were able to stop it. And through the years, I've gotten a lot of different reliable sources that they'll feed me information because they don't want the backlash if they need it, you know, to get something out. We never give out our sources. If they have something, we do try to protect them as much as we can. And they either contact me, they'll contact you, they'll contact Deena, you know, and we will post a lot of times for people that want to post, but they're afraid to post because of retaliation. Right. Yeah. You know, and it takes a tough skin for this, you know, but we're not mean. We're really not. We're trying to help. We're trying to help the citizens, you know, and the students, you know. None of us have kids in the schools. We could walk away. But, you know, yes, I do live in Cuyahoga Falls. Why do I keep doing this?
Well, you were born and bred here, I believe.
I was. Once a bulldog and always a bulldog.
Well, and you were responsible for helping to kickstart, you know, what the page used to be called, but now it's the Stowe Monroe Falls Postcard.
Correct.
And that's not just something that you step away from. You know, you have too much information to give, and here we are. Deena, you didn't find us until a couple years later. What was the story? How'd you get involved?
I was going through some stuff with the Common Core way of doing things at the school. My kids were having a hard time grasping the math, especially. And I noticed some posts that were online, and Jeanne contacted me through Messenger, I think,
Probably.
or one, you know, something like that, to discuss where the origins came from. And she really schooled me on what it was.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this woman like really did her research, because I don't just take someone at their word. I go back and I double check.
Right.
We all do now, you know, because someone can say something and then you find out it's not true. So you don't want to misspeak. Right. You want to have all your facts straight. The three of us have done great together. You know, I heard this, see what you can find out. Yeah. You know, and but that's how I met Jeanne, you know, with the Common Core stuff. And then we got into the IB stuff, and, you know, we started talking about some of the misspending that was going on in the school district, with the admin and some of the crazy stuff that was going on, like crazy stuff that you wouldn't necessarily believe.
Right.
Exactly.
But it was happening. Yeah. And there was proof that it was happening. Did,
in the beginning, you had to be like, this can't be right.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, can't make it
crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. You just don't like them. They're at school. They did something to you, but no, I mean, that's how I got into all of this, through Jeanne, and then I met you through that.
I'm sorry.
I know. Thanks a
lot.
Wow. Hey, come on.
Yeah. I'll mute you, Fencl.
Yeah. So many have tried. Go ahead.
Well, so I mean, you come in and you find out, you talk to Jeanne, you see how we were doing things, and it's that we get such a smack in the head all the time because people think we just do things because we want to be mean.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I have a family, you have a family, you have a family. We all have families, and we're not clique people.
No.
We're friends.
Yes.
But I don't know the mayor, and I really don't feel like hanging out with the mayor. I don't care if it was John Primonic or somebody else. Okay. I'm not that person who feels that I need to, for lack of a better word, suck up to somebody, for a status in the community. None of us do that. And obviously there's a reason, and there's a reason that we do what we do. And it has to do with, really, when it comes to the schools, the kids are the end all be all. But it's also saving taxpayer money. It's trying to hold people accountable for what they're doing. And I don't understand why we get such a bad rap for trying to get people to do what they're supposed to do.
Well, and so many, there is a certain amount of people that nickname the postcard the hate card.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not. We have actually helped, not just with the schools, but other things that have gone on in the city where people contact us and say, hey, this neighborhood, we can't even go out.
Right.
And it was taken care of within 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So again, yes, it's the seniors too, that's hard for them to get out and about, not knowing, things that are going on. But it's even like with this bond issue they want to put on, people, basically, they just can't afford it.
Well, they can't afford it. And there's a lot of people that are involved with the schools where, again, going back to what you were just saying, they can't come out and say anything.
Correct.
And so they want to know either more information, or they want to know what they want to do. And that's something that happens quite a bit, is we get
very often
people coming to us and saying, listen, I don't want my identity known. We never, ever, ever release an identity of somebody. It doesn't matter where they come from. Okay?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So we never do that. And that's another service that we provide is, okay, we'll get you information, or tell me your story so that we can look into it. I think that's pretty cool. And they come to you first, or you actually, they come to me last.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the nice one.
You are the nice one. Yeah.
From what I understand.
That's what I hear.
And snarky.
Are you snarky?
I'm snarky.
Really? Wonder what they say
honest,
about me.
You kind of are.
Oh,
yeah.
I kind of like that.
Right. No, but I mean, people do come to us for help.
They
and,
do.
You walk away feeling pretty good.
It does. It feels good, and I do think that probably within the last, let's say, 3-4 months, we've increased members by 200.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are actually seeing that we're not out to, it's really not a political thing.
Right.
But some will make it a political thing.
Right, because we're trying to get people to do what's right, what they're supposed to do.
What they're supposed to do. I mean, back in the beginning, I would go every month through the check register, line by line. And if I didn't know what it was, I requested the information.
Mm-hmm.
And we found there was one time it was a BP, and I'm like, how come this one card's being used over at the BP by the high school? all this time, and they're like, you know, a week later, they file a police report that there was a card that was stolen from the bus garage.
Right. Yeah.
That was being used over BP.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's going to come out.
Right.
You know, and I had a very good mentor, and he brought me over boxes of record requests that he had done. He was a real good mentor. And the best advice he ever gave me, don't go by what I hand you. I don't care if it's in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Research it.
Right.
So if we put something up there, don't take it by fact.
Right.
We try to do our best that it's fact.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've been wrong too many times.
I don't think so, no.
You know, but I do tell people, don't go by what I say or I post. Dig.
Right.
Start digging. Research. And I will say that we do have a good group of new people that are doing which helps a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of interest because I think people are starting to wake up to what's happening. There's just things are just a little over the line right now with everybody. And I would say that, you know, getting that information out is extraordinarily important, you know, and getting it out the way that we see it. And the fact that we say research and look for it, Deena, we've seen so many people that have come out and changed their mind about something because they did do that. Right. They researched, you know, and I think that that's a huge thing that we should be proud of. Honestly.
I am too.
Yeah. You know, anything that's going to help. Yes, it does come off, you know, and if we are wrong, I know for myself, I do admit it. It doesn't happen often. It's like mark the calendar, you know.
Right.
But I'm just joking. But it's just, we want what's best for the community.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And it's funny that you talked about, you know, we're not the click type.
Right.
I use that even when my kids were in sports. You know, I'm not going to go and be talking with all of the parents and all of this. We're cordial or stuff like that. I was down up front, usually on the first bench, you know, and I'm cheering the kids on. And I told my kids, it's not going to be who I know. It's up to your ability to make yourself be a better player.
To be in the spotlight more and make yourself
I'm
known.
not going to help you get there. You know, so I never, you know, I was cordial with the coaches and stuff, but I wasn't, like you said, brown nosing or whatever. So,
well, we've had some like big ones too. We've had, you know, for instance, we had a huge thing last year. Well, at the beginning of this year, I guess, beginning of this year, beginning of the last, hold on, give me a second here. The beginning of last school year when we had the blackface incident.
Yes.
And we had one of the moms come to us and looking for help and distraught, completely distraught.
Yes.
And, you know, it's not just that incident right there. There's a lot of incidents where the issue is still ongoing and it shouldn't be.
No, it should not be. Those girls, I think there was a big injustice done on that. I mean, we're talking 90-degree humidity weather.
Right.
You know, and they got hot, the stuff they put under their eyes, because let's face it, my kids used to do it. They would get we're going to the football game and get all jazzed up and stuff, you know, we're getting this, and they sell those things to go to, and they melted.
Right.
And they were smearing. And they made
what kid doesn't touch his face or her face?
Yeah, especially when it's hot out. If you're sweating, you know, you're constantly doing this.
Right.
And they were trying to, and it just got completely blown out of proportion. And then there's no cameras that are working. You know, and it's kind of like, well, how are they to defend themselves?
It was a huge cluster.
It was.
Yeah.
Huge cluster. You know.
Well, and then the fact that the school put out a statement right away implicating these girls without, this was even before they even talked to them about what actually happened.
Right.
That to me was just the icing on the cake. It's like, you just don't do that until you get the whole story. Just like we all say, do your research, get the true story.
Right.
And the school did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was like you said, it was a huge injustice to those girls. And we're talking young girls. These are girls that were devastated by this whole thing.
Still are. And still are catching flack.
They are.
And this is a year later.
This is a year later, and it's wrong. I think another addition to what you said is the district had no problem contacting the media.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Immediately. Yep.
And it was on, was it Cleveland.com or one of the news stations? I can't remember
if
exactly
you remember,
which one.
too, that was when they were pushing their big DEI.
Yes.
Platform.
They wanted, their DEI platform and their new anti-racist rules and this and that and the other that they wanted to, which is covered by regular policy.
Yes.
By the way. But they want to make a separate set of rules for the DEI.
Right.
Yes.
Which makes no sense because it's already covered in regular policy.
Correct.
Twice.
Yeah.
So that's a waste of time, number one, a waste of money because now they're having meetings about this through the school board and whatever else happened through that whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was, that incident happened at the right time for them.
Right.
Yeah, it was
And
actually
at the complete wrong time for the girl.
Absolutely.
Right.
It was just something that honestly just fell in their lap and they ran with it.
So,
in my opinion.
Yeah. So again, we don't just, like, when people need help, we don't just do little things. We do, granted, this family is still suffering and they're still having a hard time. And we did everything we could to try and hook them up with somebody or try to guide them or counsel them. Best that we could do basically was just remain their friend.
Yes.
And just say, hey, you know what? Go ahead and scream at us when you want because you're right, they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had other people come to us with similar incidents. And I mean, that's something to hang your hat on as an administrator of the Stone Monroe Falls Postcard, is that we do at least try to give it the best advice or research that we can do. Unfortunately, with this family, the best that they probably could have done is find an attorney that would do it pro bono.
Exactly.
And there was just not one attorney that wasn't loopy. Okay. There wasn't one attorney ready to step up to that plate. And boy, I really would. I mean, I don't know if it's too late or not, but if there is somebody who's like, you know what, that sounds pretty bad, I want to look into it. Yep. They're an attorney. Feel free to get a hold of the show. Again, SMF Voice at twc.com.
Yeah.
So
and honestly, it's the parent of one of the girls actually was told how bad we were.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was she's like, so she turned to us and we have told her, we're straight up. I don't believe in lies. I despise lies.
Right.
So when you see this blatant, outright rudeness and I'm going to do what I want and not follow the rules and go by what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Yeah. And we do get that a lot. And really, it's because these people don't want to be exposed and they know who the Postcard is. They know that there's plenty of players within the Postcard. A lot of people that don't come out and talk. They just work in the background.
And that's fine. And right. I can understand that. I mean,
there are some higher up people, meaning leaders in our communities, that come to us as well.
Yes.
So it's not just the common man. There are some leaders that come to us as well and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is not cool. What do you think about this? Or, can you make a post about that? Because also their livelihood is on the line if they come out and do anything. So we have that as well.
Right. It's a lot of, just like teachers, it's hard for them to come out and say anything. Right. Honestly, with this Christy Pro thing, that was stunning that many teachers came out. I mean, it was
impressive. Yeah. I was so proud of the staff that they felt that comfortable to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's what
As
you
they
call
should
unity.
be.
Unity.
That is DEI.
Right.
If you really want to get down to it, that's including everybody.
Right.
You know, the staff does not have to, they should not have to fear for their job.
No. Really, it's a First Amendment thing. It really is.
It really,
period.
yeah, it is.
And they have a right to come out and say, hey, listen, you know, I feel comfortable with such and such a person. Why can't you say that? Why would the board just say, we hear, well, basically that's what they tried to shut them down first.
They did.
Yeah. The literal fact is, before they said that Mrs. Gould was voted in by them.
It was a 3-2 vote.
Right. Yes, the staff were there, everybody was there, but they were told not to be there. They were told that they were not permitted, or not permitted, but they really, the union, they told the union to go after them and shut them up. And that's wrong. So again, we had people approaching us there too. And I was like, listen, it's your job, it's your livelihood.
Exactly.
But if it's me, I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, because I've had bosses, and if I haven't liked something, I've stated it.
Yeah.
I still have my job.
I do too, every day.
Yeah.
I don't have a boss. I subcontract, but the owner and I, it is.
Oh, we know.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm so proud of the fact that we can have people come to us and talk, and at least there is a conversation that's honest somewhere for people to go. And the fact that we've had so many people join the Postcard in the last few months is fantastic. Now, I'm sure a lot of them want to just sit in there and cause problems. But
there's a few.
You know, because we do have this one rule, and I take this rule very seriously, and it's the no screenshot. And that is to protect all of the members to speak freely. And I'm kind of glad they had the anonymous button now on Facebook so that they can post. And again, we can see on our side who it is. We will never reveal who's doing it. So if anybody feels like that they want to say something, we will protect you.
Oh, 100%.
You know, and I know
if there was any guarantee in the city that somebody can take, it's that if you want to remain anonymous or just be
absolutely.
we will absolutely
And
keep it that
can
way.
I add, even if we disagree with you, we will still protect you.
Correct.
Yes.
Because we've done that too.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, honestly, the Postcard has simmered down a lot.
It has.
From when.
Well, we had a lot of riffraff.
Yeah, we had. It was good. We giving them the Postcard smackdown, you know.
Right.
But and well deserved in a lot of it. Some may say, some may not say. You know, not everybody's going to agree on everything.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, when you go, you know, when you don't agree with somebody, and then they go and they want to dox you and call your job and do all that, because we've had that happen too, where people were threatened with, well, you know, and their jobs were called because they didn't agree. That's ridiculous.
It's crossing a line.
Here.
I was going to say that's very childish.
Right.
Yes. And as far as like the Christy Pro thing, I had somebody reach out to me to tell me what was going on because we had no idea. I was on it. It was like, I even put up there, if, you know, spread the word. They don't even have to answer the questions. Just put, you know, messenger or whatever down.
Right.
And you're coming in, you know, and they're still there. You know, we're not going to bounce anybody.
No.
We used to.
Well,
because they were causing issues and calling people's jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if we hear that,
there's certain things we used to bounce people for reasons.
Yes.
I mean, it was, you know, and it was bad. Like what you said, they would call jobs, or there would be, you know, they would call me a bully and threat. I mean, I would get very vicious back in the day. But what people don't understand is they'll tell you, you know, all these. In these other groups, they will tell people, they'll say, yeah, Matt's an attacker and he's a bully, or Jeannie's an attacker. What they don't tell you is they went first, and at least I responded. And when I respond, I'm better and I'm more vicious, and I do have a very dark place in me, but it is a response to an attack that shouldn't have been there. I've kind of calmed it down a little bit, okay, because I'm just tired.
Yes, we all are.
I don't want to be doing this.
I don't either.
Including this show. I would rather be talking about Bigfoot right now.
I know.
I would. Look, did you see my little Bigfoot look.
Okay, Big Muskie.
Yeah. Hold on. This is what I want to be doing. Look at this. Oh my God.
Is that like your idol?
What, Bigfoot? No, I just love the idea.
So do you think Bigfoot actually exists?
I think that there's a good possibility, but what my thing is, I enjoy talking about it. It's just a cool thing to talk. It's like ghost stories around a campfire.
Love the trees.
Isn't that the greatest thing? Yeah.
And the little picnic table. Is this how you got your campsite off?
I got that from Damien's girlfriend.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's cute.
I think. Yeah, see, it's the memory. That's another reason I don't argue with it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because my daughter, who had the baby, she looked at me and she's in the middle of saying something because they're always saying that to me. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, Mom brain does exist." I said, "Welcome aboard."
Yep.
So.
But as I said, I don't want to be doing this, and I don't want to be fighting with people. Anyway, you know what I want to do? I want to go to what I'm going to do next Saturday, and that's go to this hayride.
Yeah,
that's the community coming together, having a blast, watching the kids go by on these hayride, and they do the s'mores, and they get and we decorate for them. That's what it's all about for me.
Now, I'm just going to expand on that. Do you know what the hours are?
It starts at. I want to say, I think it starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
The hayride starts at 6. It goes to 8. As a matter of fact, that is it. Yeah, it's 6 to 8.
Okay.
But they tend to go over because they have so many people that participate in it. So usually 8:30, 9 o'clock it's going to. But yeah,
sounds
that's
like a lot of fun.
But that's what I would rather be doing than sitting here and talking politics. I mean, politics are interesting. It's just it takes up so much of your life, and it literally puts wrinkles in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I look like a catcher's mitt right now.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Quiet, Fencl. But so another thing I'll say is there's a lot of that just say that we just hate Democrats. We just go after liberals. And I can tell you that probably we are more hated, in my opinion, by a lot of Republicans that have come through the system.
Well, we don't discriminate. If we see something wrong, he's a Republican, it's okay.
Nope.
No, we don't do that.
No.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've gone toe to toe with many what we call rhinos,
right?
On things that no, it doesn't make sense. That's what's missing. And I think this is what we all kind of suffer from is common sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a curse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I just don't stop because I know so much. I don't do as much digging as I used to do.
Yeah.
We've actually got more people doing that now, which I'm very appreciative that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we are getting more, people are seeing us for what we want them to see us for.
Right.
We're not the bad boogeymans, and we're not, out there causing problems or anything like that.
Especially for just one side. You know, it's, again, we're looking to do what's right. And it doesn't matter there's been plenty, and it's not just people in office. There's been just regular day, residents here in Stowe that are huge with the Republican, and you always see them out there, and they're hitting doing the campaigning for people, and they're out there with taking, do you want to sign? Do you want to sign? Whatever. And God bless them. They're working their ass off, and they think that they're doing it because it's a Republican.
Yes.
But that Republican is not conservative.
Very,
right.
Yes.
So yeah, we don't just go after the left in this community. We'll go after who says that they are right, the wolves in sheep's clothing, and we'll do it every time. I don't care. Yep. Again, we're not looking to be in a clique.
No. Well, and this may surprise people. I think you already know, and I think you already know. I was a registered Democrat and voted Democrat up until Obama's second term.
That's me too.
See, I was a ravenous progressive leftist up until about 2002.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I sort of joke about it, but I don't. I say all of the stuff that you see happening in Washington today was actually my idea. Because we did talk about doing these very things. That's another reason I can predict it pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, all you got to do is just kind of look around and you can see history it's right there.
Right.
It's all coming out, and that's another thing is let's talk education.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually a Zoom meeting, and I believe that there's going to be more that the district is going to be putting out, but
that's a, what do you call that? A open house, not an open house. What's that called?
Town hall.
Town hall. Yeah, it was something like that, but it's kind of like, I'm not sure if they're getting the right things out that they should be getting out in the proper terms.
I'm guilty of not watching it. Did you watch it?
I started to a little bit. I believe it is up on YouTube. I think
Is it?
I
was
didn't
waiting
even
for the
check.
video. I came in late. I did register to go, and I did come in late, and I missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well.
now I got to wait for the video, and I got to watch the second half of your last podcast. Too,
Okay.
so.
Yeah. It wasn't interesting.
Yes, it was.
Oh, wait. No, that was Tracy
That was
Winbush.
Tracy, yeah.
Tracy's great.
Yeah.
Tracy
So I got
is
to
great.
watch the second half of that.
I got to watch that one.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
No,
that
Tracy
one.
is one of these people. She is, when she puts a thought together, you have to sit there and think about what she's saying, because she won't directly come out and address something. She gives you a way to think yourself to it, and you answer a lot of questions while you get
that's
there.
talent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
been doing it a
that's
long
talent.
time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's again responsible for me doing this stupid crap.
I don't know if we'll call it stupid crap, but I do. Those hammers that I'm looking at over there, though,
No.
they're really tempting.
Don't look behind me because it gets worse. But
I am glued to this chair, people.
yeah. But no, I mean we get a reputation for a reason, and and that reason is we just don't let people off the hook.
No. Nor
Responsive.
should they be.
Right. I mean, my family my kids did catch some crap when they were going through school because of a lot of this.
Mine too.
I think yours did, and
Mine did not, because I came out right out of the gate because we had a problem with it was the fourth grade student. My daughter was in fourth grade at the time, and we went in for a special meeting. We hear first of all, we're not talking about any kid, blah, 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 blah. This happened right after Columbine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so that's basically when I kind of started, right around in that. No, I was pregnant. It's a couple of years later. And all we really wanted was somebody just to be an aide to be in there with this child.
Right.
Because there was so much destruction, and he's saying he's bringing a bazooka gun, and, and I'm like, and I look over and I said, how do we know this is not how the Columbine boys started?
Mm-hmm.
There should be safety. I said, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have my attorney on speed dial. So if you do anything with my kids, bully them or anything like that, I will slap a suit on this district.
Right.
My kids never had any problems. I don't know why. They just kind of, if they did, they never told me.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I see, I don't think I really did. And it's a shame that yours did have to have those problems. I do remember a couple of things, and kudos to your daughter for being like mom a little bit there.
Yeah, she's worse than me.
I love it.
That's the thing, is there are a lot of strong kids out there that know how that are able to navigate those waters, because there are parents that they teach their kids right, and their kids will go there. They'll put up with the crap. They just don't buy into it. And they all they do is just try and go get their diploma.
Yeah.
So, but it's the kids that and the families that have blind sides because, again, You know, like with the parent of the girl that was dealt with the blackface, she was completely blindsided by
Absolutely.
this. You know, she was thinking, you know, great school, my daughter's there, everything's going well, it's going to be wonderful all the way through high school, and all of a sudden, boom, you are victimized.
So
yeah.
Right.
You know,
this happened, you know, with my son when he was in school. He graduated 2019. So it's been a little while, but that was right around the time where they had the walkouts for the Second Amendment at the school, that it was okay to walk out of the school and protest, and, you know, teaching these kids, you know, how to, you know, to do that. And my son said he was not going to do that. And when the teacher asked him, you know, he goes, you know, are you going to go and walk with us? And he said, no, my family is pro Second Amendment. And I will not, you know, do this protest. And my parents are conservative, and they taught us to be conservative. And, you know, we go do this, and you know, we go out to the gun ranges, and she looked at him, and it's unfortunate that your parents are conservative. Whoa. And my son just was like, he didn't know what to say, really.
That's an incredible, you know, that's like, that would be very, like if I was a teacher and a child was in there and was adopted into a lesbian family, and I looked at them and I said, it's unfortunate that your parents are gay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, where do you get off saying it's unfortunate that parents are acting like anything? And this is a plague.
And this was like right after that board meeting where we were like screaming about it. Like, this is not, you guys have policies.
Oh, that was the one.
Yeah, you guys have policies that state that these kids are not allowed to be doing things like that during the school year, during the school time, during the hours of school. And they went against their own policy.
See, I didn't know that there were teachers, because I thought that, didn't the board come out and
they told them to keep
double
the kids
down on the policy?
Yes,
or something
they came out and they had told they voted to keep the kids inside.
Yeah.
Which was fine, you know, because my main concern, which a lot of people didn't know, is somehow Stowe Monroe Falls High School was put on a national list as being one of the schools that were going to be doing this. So anybody that knows the high school, there's a lot of space around there.
Right.
And I was more concerned about the kids. Yeah,
because it was advertised.
It
was advertised.
Yes. You know, it was, you know, and that was the video that you were saying. I think you were typing something. Oh, she's getting upset. That camera's starting to wobble. And yes, I did use a few choice words during that meeting.
I know when you're going 0 to 60. Yeah, I've seen it. But you know, it's funny with the walkout though. You know, where there's teachers that were saying, "Hey, let's go walk out, and this is important." And I think I said this before, that there was a board member from a few years ago who actually told me that she thought a little civil disobedience was good for kids to practice. But yet now at this last board meeting, what did we see when they were dealing with the religious release?
Right.
She said, oh, well, it's important for kids. Well, is it important for kids to stay in school, or is it important for them to have a little civil disobedience? They have to figure out, even policy is policy. Kids need to stay in school, but they need to figure out where they stand, because they're all over the board.
Well, and it was interesting.
Literally all over the board.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know, and what's really funny about that one
I need to stay nice, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We love our niceness.
Yeah.
But
you're looking very sweet today.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, now I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
I will say that a lot of the kids nowadays, because of all of the things that they've been fed at, to me, too early of an age. You have to have pronouns now, and you have to know your sexuality by the time you're in second grade, and you have to, you know, all these things that are thrown at these kids every single day. No wonder they're screwed up. You know, my daughter would come home from school and be like, well, this teacher says that I have anxiety disorder. I'm like, is your teacher a doctor?
Right.
because she has no way of diagnosing what your issue is. The issue is you didn't study for that test, and that's why you got a bad grade.
Exactly.
It's not because you have test anxiety.
Correct. Yeah,
you
that's holding them accountable.
Right.
Responsibility.
Right. And there is no accountability. Just over the last week, how many fights have been at the high school?
And I was going to go there. Let's before we get into those little things, Jeannie's got to calm down. She's already looking.
Her arms are straight down.
Yeah.
Well, at least I'm not doing this yet.
That's coming. Before we get into all that, let's take a quick break. And
Sounds good.
I'm going to, on the other side of the break, we're going to go into some other topics as well. But we're going to touch on the fights that have been happening, why these kids are at this point. We'll discuss that too, which actually does kind of touch back to what the Postcard has been talking about for years. And again, that's responsibly teaching kids. We'll be back on the other side of the break. And by the way, if you're a small business and you wish to advertise for free on this show, this is where your advertisement would be. Just email me at SMF. What the hell's the name of this thing? SMF Voice. SMF Voice at TWC.com. We'll see you on the other side of the break. All right, and welcome back to the Stowe-Monroe Falls Voice. Joining me again is Jeanne Fencl.
Hello.
And Deena Weber. And I'm gonna admit to something. We just went through about 10 minutes of talking, and I totally didn't unmute any of our mics. So this is time two. I told you I do too much during the workday, and I don't want to do this anyway. Maybe that was.
Why don't you want to just go ahead and say what we said? You don't remember. It's that dad brain.
It is, yeah, right. When did you guys get here? So, really quick, to find the Stowe-Monroe Falls Voice, find us on Facebook at SMF Voice. Find us on Spotify if you want to drive around in your car and just listen to us. Again, SMF is what you're looking for, or SMF Voice is what you're looking for. what, YouTube? What else do I have? An email. You can email at SMF Voice at twc.com.
We got you frustrated, don't we?
I just need to reset for a second. So let's, just pretend and we'll act. And we'll pretend like we didn't talk about what we just talked about. But before we left for the break, we started talking about getting into these fights that we see at the schools. And there's been a lot at the end of last year into this year, and it's becoming a real problem. And in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are just putting so much other stuff on our kids' shoulders. We are talking about social issues too much. We're bringing down the national political scene on their shoulders. Mm-hmm. We're teaching them to hate just because of the division that we're teaching.
And aren't we supposed to not be doing that?
That's what I thought. Because, there's not supposed to be any type of political spectrum when it comes to teaching kids.
Or even hate. There's no reason for it.
No.
I know last year there was a huge issue about going into the bathrooms. Yeah. With the vaping and that kind of stuff, or kids getting into fights in there. And why is there not a person sitting at a desk? There used to be a desk between there in the commons, between the two restrooms. Mm-hmm. Why isn't there somebody manning that desk?
Don't know.
Where's the resource officer? Do they even have one right now? I honestly, I don't know.
They do.
Okay. Because he had retired last year, Officer Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like something's got to give here.
Again, though, is it worried about these kids' feelings too much, like they're being watched too much? And maybe that's part of the problem too. We during our last conversation, which nobody heard, we were talking about, it was just a whole issue of what they were teaching in class, showing in class. Teaching to sex way too early, teaching to. You name it, the entire gambit.
Is a social emotional learning.
Yes, the SEL. That's what you hear a lot of. They've got to teach to the SEL or whatever. And it's like, and then they got to make sure that they got to teach for the test. So when are they actually going to learn what the class is about?
Right.
I don't know. They when we started off with the IB days, they were talking about critical thinking. Everything was about critical thinking. And now all they do is test. So if all you're doing is reading a book and testing and surveys, if all you're doing is, and the surveys are multiple choice, right?
Yeah.
Where's the room? Where's their ability to be able to convey their ability to critically think? It's non-existent, but they keep talking about it.
Well, a lot of those surveys too. Do you think these kids really answer honestly, especially at the middle school level?
Mm-hmm.
They're not answering those questions with any kind of truth. They're just like trying to get through it because the teacher already told them this doesn't count as a grade. Just go through. They don't want to be sitting there answering these questions. They really don't. They're looking outside saying, I want to go out there and throw the ball around, or whatever. With my daughter being the age that she is and we're looking at colleges, the test doesn't matter anymore. We're finding out that SATs, ACTs, all that testing does not matter anymore. They're not looking at that. They are looking at grade point average. They're looking at your transcripts. They're looking at what kind of clubs you're in, and what kind of human being you are, and whether or not you're ready to take on, this college lifestyle. Okay. They don't look at the test anymore. And, thank goodness for that, because my daughter is not a test taker. She can't sit in front of a screen for 3 hours and take the test.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, the 3rd grade reading guarantee. Remember those?
Oh, yes.
My daughter took it, failed it. Took it again, failed it again. 4th grade, they're like, she failed it again. She's got to take it again. She took it again. 5th grade. She failed it. Jeez. She's got to take it again. Mm-hmm. I said, she is not taking it again.
Right.
I said, she knows how to read. Right. She can't sit in front of a screen. She's just not that type of person. Now, my son, he could sit in front of a screen for 8 hours if you let him. She's not that way. Her
Right.
brain doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
She gets bored very easily, and looking into a screen is not her thing.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, she's very smart. If you ask her any questions off the screen, she can answer them.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of kids, I'm sure, that can learn that way, but
Right.
I'd be willing to bet that the majority, maybe not the vast majority, but I would willing to bet that the majority of kids struggle with just testing nonstop. And again, that's adding stress to their
Right.
lives.
And come to find out that those tests bring in money into the school system.
yes,
Absolutely
absolutely.
do. It's
You
a
know?
money grab.
Right. And then the surveys were paying out money to get data that God knows what they're doing with the data. I don't even know. With these social emotional learning tests and
every explanation is so general
Right.
when it comes to this. They just literally and I urge everybody to go to a school board meeting, at least one or two, just to understand how general these explanations of either programs or the surveys or what they're going to do. The explanation is so general. It's like they really don't know what they're looking at. If you ask for an explanation, they can't give it to you.
No.
So where's that information going? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Right.
You know, I do remember, I think it was the last school board meeting that Mike Sheehan, he had something put off onto the side. It was a contract. He wanted that pulled off of the agenda so they could discuss it. Well, here to come find out, it was somebody's contract, but there was no amount that this person was being paid. And he asked a simple question, what are they being paid?
There was an explanation, but it didn't make any sense.
So what does mean?
Right.
You know, and it is what it is. You know, I'm hearing, you know, I did listen to the Zoom thing. I'm kind of backtracking. I go all over this.
No, go ahead.
And they will not be called schools any longer. When they do finally get this thing passed, issue 31, which we do have signs coming to vote no.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about that too.
We do.
I
ordered them today.
Well,
I
finish
did.
your thought. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Oh, it's already gone.
Yeah, you're all over the place, Fencl. Come on.
Yeah, hey.
No wonder
I don't
people
get out
hate,
much.
no wonder people hate it so much. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, now you sound like my kids.
Yeah.
What was I talking about?
Oh my God, I got dad brain. You were talking about the contract that was put in front of Sheehan, and nobody seems to know on the board as far as generalities go. There just seems to be a lot of things introduced.
Right.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Right, exactly. You know, and I have been to so many board meetings. And we would record, and I do record when I go. We even had a YouTube channel, Mr. Truth Be No. It's still up. And if people want to see how things were back then, pretty much now, but a lot more blatant.
What is that YouTube channel again?
It's Mr. Truth Be No.
Truth Be No. TRUTHBE KNOW.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, Truth Be No.
Yeah, I forgot the N.
It wouldn't be the postcard, and it wouldn't be Jeanne
I spun
Fencl.
the wheel and it came up bankrupt.
Yeah. No,
Oops, did I say that?
But I mean, it was, back in the day, it was there was actually, I think, more detail.
Yeah.
They did go into detail, but there was a lot of spinning conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount in spinning class now that we go up against, I think I could be down to probably, both of us could probably be in a size 2.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's really that bad.
Yeah.
And it's like the meetings, it's like, you just can't. I sit there and I'm like, that's wrong.
Well, even when you make a request, though, I've made several over the last year. They will come up with some reason why my request could not be filled.
Right.
Overly broad.
The overly broad statement, what do you actually want? I told you what I want.
And that's coming from a school district that has lately been giving overly broad explanations about everything else.
Exactly.
So there's a little hypocrisy there.
Right. Well, hypocrisy, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're, again, it's the generalities, and there's just so much being introduced, which we have seen, which we talk about, and if you go on the postcard, you will see us talk about these things, and we explain in detail what the problems are. Yes. And I'm sorry, 8-10 years ago, when we started talking about all these programs and all the things that they wanted to be, we said this is putting too much on the children. This is going to mess with their psyche. It's going to make them, we said this, it's going to make them angry, and that could go anywhere. And here we are now. With we just had a fight today, I believe, didn't we?
Yes, we did. There was an assault on a teacher.
Oh,
yeah.
It did happen. Why? I don't know why. I have seen videos that have been sent to me through where kids will take videos. This didn't happen this week,
right?
But I'm sitting there and I'm watching these kids eating lunch, and there's a fight, and they just look over.
Yeah, they are so desensitized.
And
to
I'm
the
like, if that would have
been,
I would have been standing up screaming.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it would have been back in the day. I mean, it's even like, even my son said, he goes, we didn't really have many fights in the school. It was like, went down the bike trail, threw a couple punches, let it go. Everything was cool.
We didn't fight in the school because we would have gotten
exactly.
We immediately there and teachers were allowed to put hands on students.
Yes. I had way back in the day, the principal. You got so many. I had my third grade teacher, and every month she would reset it, and it would be I would ask something without raising my hand. I'd get 1 mark and be like, but you got 10. Here comes the principal with the paddle, and you could hear it throughout the school.
We had the gym teacher. So the big, huge 7-foot guy. And I don't know if he was 7 foot. He looked 7 foot when you were in third grade.
Right.
But yeah, we had the gym teacher.
See, I didn't have the big gym. I had a guy, and God bless him, he was great. His name was Mr. Hovan. And Mr. Hovan coached baseball at the high school level, but he was also the phys ed teacher and health teacher. And this guy he carried himself in such a great way. And he demanded respect. And
absolutely.
I threw a fit in a class once and got up and kicked my desk. And he wasn't huge, but he threw me over 2 freaking rows of desks and then came over, not yelling nothing. He just said, "Hey, son, we just got to calm it down a little bit. Just got to calm it down."
I'm calm.
Yeah. And that was it, and Mr. Hovan had catch lines and things like that. We used to have teachers that, they were safe because they were allowed to make themselves safe. Now, a lot of these teachers, not all of them, because some of them actually approve of I won't say this behavior, but I'll say of the reasons this behavior exists. But there's a lot of teachers that are scared for their lives, and they should be, because there's nothing they can do.
No, there's not.
Right.
And there should be.
And there's a rumor going around. I have not fact checked this, so I'm going out on a limb. But the story today was a girl came in, was yelling profanities at the teacher because the teacher had gotten her in trouble.
Okay.
Well, actually, wouldn't it have been the student got themselves in trouble?
Yeah, but she's blaming the teacher that she.
Is this high school? This is high school.
This is high school. High school. And she leaves. 10 minutes later, she comes back and assaults her. Well,
Jesus.
Apparently there are panic buttons in the classrooms. Where you can, hit the panic button and somebody will come to the thing. Panic button didn't work.
The panic button didn't work.
Right. Does that sound familiar?
Like
the cameras
not
don't
working?
work.
Right. So they want all these new buildings. They want us to fork out money for these new buildings, but they can't maintain what they have. And it drives me absolutely insane.
How long has the panic button idea been there?
I don't know.
I don't know. The only thing I can remember, and I'm going out on a limb on this one, is there was a safety meeting years ago with Police Chief
Fencl, yeah.
And I can't remember the Monroe Falls chief at the time. And they did a presentation, and the schools are safe as far as I'm pretty confident to say that it's safe as far as
outside source coming in and
right. And he explained that anything that happens, it'll go directly to the police station.
The panic button.
Maybe that's what it was.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm not sure.
All right. Yeah.
But he said that we can pinpoint exactly where something is going on in these schools.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as safety goes, I don't think that that's the issue. I think the issue is they need to get these kids under control.
Yeah.
They've got to start setting examples.
Well, I think examples are one, absolutely, but they also have to look at their structure of what they're teaching, how they're learning. You can't. I had heard a story of, I think it was another school system, but there was a teacher where, the presidents, and this is in like a middle school or something like that. You know how they would line the top of the wall with all the presidents starting from George Washington? Well, when it got to Trump, it was Trump's mugshot.
Lovely.
And so that caused a bit of a stir. But see, what you're doing is you're introducing all of this division and hate because of a teacher that would do that, or because of a program which teaches mainly to something like, global warming, man-made global warming. And while that's going, you're basically telling your students that their parents probably don't know what they're talking about, maybe lying to you. And then you're bringing down everything else. I said, and we all said, that you put all the weight of the world on these kids' shoulders, they will snap. And I think that's what we're seeing.
And unfortunately, they are snapping.
Mm-hmm.
I have a relative that actually deals with this, and it's very sad on how I would not want to be going into schools.
No.
Being a student now. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. They've got to get it under control. I do know that they did readjust the open enrollment. Not everybody can open enroll. Those students that were already open enrolled are allowed to still be open enrolled. But anyone else new that wants to come in, they have to be adjacent to Stowe or Monroe Falls.
Okay, so they can't just ship in from like Kenmore.
No.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's basically the Falls could go there, Talmadge could go there, Hudson could go there.
Basically everything that's in the 6th District Compact.
Right.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Nordonia? No.
No.
Yeah. So pretty
I'm from
much
Nordonia.
that.
I wouldn't let those kids in. But yeah.
But yeah, so that's going to cut down probably a lot.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, I think a lot of kids are getting pulled. They're going to private schools. Mm-hmm. They're starting to get more co-ops around.
Yeah, I know too. Mm-hmm.
And the parents, they don't want their kids indoctrinated. They want them to get an education. Mm. That is what schools are for. And maybe that's why we're changing the names. Instead of schools, they're going to be learning centers or community centers.
Community centers, right. They're not going to be schools anymore. Schools is no longer a term.
When they build the new buildings, if they get the money.
Yeah. It's going to be such and such learning center.
It's going to be a learning center or a community center.
Yeah.
Now, and let's talk about the community center. That's what the field house
was supposed to be.
It says community center on it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then why, Marty Simpkins, when I was talking to her, she said they're going to build a whole new thing onto that. That's actually going to be the community center.
Yeah.
They want to put doctor's offices for psychologists and all this other stuff in there so that the kids can go there if they need.
Then we can call them behavioral centers. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're changing names all over the place.
Why not prison?
But
why not psych ward?
Huh?
The Stowe Monroe Falls Psych Ward.
Oh, there you go. Well, and guess what? There's also another community center they're working on right now. And probably a lot of people don't know about. It's the senior center. The one that's located over, right. Yeah. Well, they ended up buying a church on Fish Creek.
Yep.
I wasn't exactly sure where it was at, But it's pretty close to off of 91.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it's called? Stowe Community Center, which was supposed to be the Stowe Senior Center. So now they're going to bring other people in besides the seniors.
Yeah.
Seniors are not, it's kind of like, this is our spot. We had our own little house.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to, it's like, do they not care about the seniors?
No.
I mean,
No,
seriously.
because that's what we're seeing right now. Seniors are going back to work because they have to.
Yeah.
And they're scared. And they have a right to be scared to death because they're not going to be able to outlive their money.
No, they can't. It's come down to,
Or they will outlive their money.
Some people will say, oh, it's only going to be $25 a month. It's going to be more than $25 a month.
Right.
I'm
It
tell you that
always
right
starts.
now. It always starts at $25.
Right.
Well, you can fudge numbers any way you want. It's only going to be this much, but you are not taking into account the 9 other levies we're still paying on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all renewals, and they do usually get pat. They usually, because they always say it's not a new tax. Your taxes aren't going to get raised. Well, guess what? That was not true. They renewed that last one.
Yes, it is.
And then the evaluations on the homes came out, and everybody's tax bill, phew, right up. Oops, sorry. I'm getting excited about this.
Yeah, boy. Hold on. Where's that mute button? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that's what I mean. And also what people need to realize is this issue 31, if you read it off of the ballot, they start taking the money in January. They don't have blueprints. They don't know, where they came up with this figure. I swear they just went like this.
And 35 years we'll be paying on that.
And we also have to pay a 5%, I believe it was 5% if I read it correctly, interest back to the state.
Right.
So it's going to cost even more money. And then I got real curious.
And they ain't done.
No.
They're not done. They want to replace all the elementary schools. That $238 million
will not cover.
If you're lucky, 3.
Well, Falls is already having an issue. They're already above, how many times and I'm not a building contractor, but how many times does a building or a building site go under budget? It doesn't happen ever.
No.
So how are we going to account for the extra money that it's going to cost us as time goes on? Because the price of wood, I did my deck this year. The price of wood is way different than what it was 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
Well, and here's what gets me is, honestly, they're not going to probably even going to be able to break ground for 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So meanwhile, this huge amount of money is just sitting there.
Well, it's sitting there, and while it's sitting there, supplies are going up because of inflation. I don't care if it continues the way it is or not. It's still, things cost more.
And the people on the board that are pushing for this are not going to be on the board anymore. So they don't even have to feel the backlash when things go awry.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to remember, that's the thing. Because when I was talking to Marty Simpkins, and she put, I didn't really even think about this. This is true. Really, all that money is going to be doing is going to be a way for them to get a bank loan to pay for this. So really, all of this is being paid by a bank loan, and the levy is a way to pay off the loan.
Oh, I never even realized that.
In a way, they're getting a blank check. So really,
they've been given blank checks.
Is it going to go to the school district, or is it going to go to building? How many times have we seen money's earmarked to go somewhere and it doesn't, like upkeep and maintenance, which is why we're in this apparent issue. And according to Marty too, what we were told about these buildings being unsavable is completely untrue.
Well, I will say that Highland is bad.
Oh, that's the worst
one. That school is very, very bad.
Yeah.
It has been very bad. Now, many years ago, way previous treasurers and the two previous superintendents, they decided that they were going to be in charge of the maintenance of the buildings. So they actually had a study done. They paid $50,000 on what needed to be done with the schools. And it sat there. They didn't do anything. But let me tell you something. They use that to push the levies. Well, we got to do this. We got to do that. And I have been saying, it's not that I am against levies. I'm against.
I'm not against levies either. Right.
No.
Go ahead.
I don't think that you can keep giving these blank checks and they do whatever they want with it.
Right.
They will say it's this. It's like even that big old retreat that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Title II money. Well, that's still our money.
It is.
It's just because it's Title II, but if you read the little caveat about it, it says that they can do professional development with reasonable cost. And I'm sorry, but when you have 20-some people, I think 28, 29 people going up to Geneva on the Lake, some stayed, some did not, that's not reasonable to me.
Well, it's not reasonable, especially for two reasons. Number one, you only get so much Title II money a year. So
Correct.
It was like $100,000 or $125,000 they got. They used, if it was $100,000, let's just say it was $100,000, they just used a quarter of that for this retreat. And they kind of sell it as, well, they sell it as that's all the Title II money can be used for.
No, it's not true.
And it's not even close to true.
No.
It can actually be used towards the kids.
Right.
The other phrase they like to use is state requirements.
Yeah.
Well, state requirements are very broad. If you read the state requirements for anything, curriculum, anything, it's very broad. And you can make your own decisions based on what the needs for your school is. Based on, and it's broad. You can choose many different curriculums.
Yeah.
It's not boiled down to one.
Right.
So.
But they choose one and then they just run with that line.
Right.
Well, this is state standard.
State requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's a mess. It truly is a mess.
It was starting to get under control there for a little while. Not completely, but things started to sort of started to make sense.
Yeah, it was, and we backed off quite a bit.
Right.
We did.
Because
We actually enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, right.
I think I went on vacation somewhere.
Oh, well, I did too.
Yeah.
And poof, here we are.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of, we're not trying to hurt the kids because they don't have brand new special things in a new building.
Mm-hmm.
Does it prove that they actually learn more in these new schools?
I've never seen a school district that built new schools where there was any significant.
And if we're already at
data.
a 5-star in the 6th district,
Yeah.
and we got Common Core math coming on this one, guys. We're a 4.5 star, but we only received 4s. Where'd the 0.5 come from?
Don't know.
Common Core math.
Oh.
They can explain it.
Right.
I'm just telling you, that's what it is.
I'm sorry. I forgot about the sheep on the roof with the
Yes.
whale in tow.
Yes. Yeah, you
I
forgot that half.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't get that.
Well, it's like it's grading on the curve,
Right. We're showing all of these fluffy things, but we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing this and we're doing that.
Yeah.
And yet we're not doing what we should be doing.
Well, they're not doing the basics to improve. They're literally shooting way ahead. And they have, the dreams of avarice and saying, we're gonna do this and all this. Well, all of this infrastructure and everything else is crumbling, mainly because they didn't pay attention. The money's earmarked for keeping these buildings, except for maybe high. I'm sure that
they were permanent. They were improvement levies.
Yeah. And again, according to Miss Simpkins, those improvement or the cost to improve the schools or to refurbish them actually was less than it would be to build them. She found that information. It was on the last show. So I urge everybody to look or watch the last show. Listen to what Marty Simpkins
Marty
said.
was
It
amazing.
fantastic.
I didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
watch it.
she was amazing.
You better go watch that, Jeanne.
I just got done watching the presidential or vice presidential
That
debate.
was fun, wasn't it?
Oh my!
I thought that was fun.
That was great.
Yeah.
And what else did I have to do? Oh, I was watching these I'm sorry, Marty. I was watching stuff about Diddy.
I watched the Diddy special.
There was one TMZ did, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's sickening.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the world we live in.
And that's what these kids are learning, you know?
Right.
And they watch this on YouTube or on their social media, and they emulate it. And this is, but it's not like we didn't have these issues back, in the day, and we did know about them. But there was something else at play that kept us. Again, I tell people all the time, when it comes in my adulthood, it's going to surprise everybody to know that when I was a young adult, I would go to bars. I know. Yeah. No.
Oh.
I know. Stop the show.
Yeah, I'm done.
We're over. But I would go to bars, and I had friends there, and we would drink. We would do, and we would drink a lot, and up until like 2, 3 in the morning, right? And then a friend would look at me, or I'd look at a friend, and one of us would say, "Well, what are you doing tomorrow?" You know what the answer was? Going to work, you idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to work. We did what was necessary. If a cop came around, we didn't start yelling at him or attack him. We gave him the respect that because we knew there was borders and boundaries. These kids don't understand that.
And if anything, if they want to really help, let's throw this DEI out the window.
Boom,
and
out.
Why don't we start teaching respect? I don't have a problem with that, because some kids, they don't get it. They let's face it, there are parents out there that they just send their kids. There's a lot of single parents out there raising their kids. There's a whole lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them respect.
Yeah.
And if you got that respect, I mean, I've gone into conversations where I've heard kids talking back to their parents, and I just said back. I mean, my kids are like kicking me under the table and stuff like that to not say anything. But it's like, someone's got to say something.
Yeah.
You got to show respect.
I had teachers that would say they I'm sure you guys did too. They would tell you, look at me in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that they were teaching respect, and it wasn't even something that they thought was a class.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
with the social media stuff going on and everything else that these kids are exposed to, I think they have a real hard time with social issues, communicating with each other, as well as adults. I mean, I remember, going to a graduation party a couple years back, and I was laughing because all the kids are sitting in a circle with their phones, and then that one would laugh, and then this one would laugh because he's sending her something, and it's just like, dude, you guys aren't even talking to each other.
My kids used to do to me. They would sit in the back seat doing it. I said, "You're texting about me, aren't you?"
Right, but I mean, we got to get back to real communication and having open conversations with these kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many. We'll just put the kids in front of a screen so that we can get done what we need to get done. And as parents, we need to curtail that. I'm guilty of it. When my kids were younger, I'd be like, go watch TV, go play on the computer, go, But there's something to be said about real communication. And being able to look somebody in the eye and say, and have a meaningful conversation.
Right. And being able to, how to know how to have it. Because some of these, my kids can have a conversation with. They'll look you right in the eyes, and I'm sure your kids are the same. Look you right in the eyes, do your thing. And really grasp. And you enjoy that conversation. But man, I've had kids, there's nothing home.
Right.
There's nothing. They're looking at the ground.
They want to blame COVID.
No.
But that was years ago, and I mean, some of the things that happened after that, where the kids were secluded to their homes and learning on the screen and whatever else. And my daughter hated it.
Yeah,
she's a very social person. She plays sports. She's like she likes to be around people.
Definitely not like you, huh?
No, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I'm like a hermit.
I don't want to go to my mailbox.
Are we really going to do this tonight?
But like with the schools and everything, it's my daughter opted her senior year not to go to Stowe. She said it was sad. She felt like she was walking into a circus every day. She had one kid in one of her classes that would contort himself somehow so that his feet were up on top of the chair and his head was down here. I said, what does a teacher do when he does stuff like that? She's like, he doesn't do anything. And all this is being allowed to happen in the schools. Well, that's distracting my daughter from getting an education. There's the whole thing with these kids that they're sitting underneath the desks in the commons and barking at people. It's like, I would be like, okay, we're going to have to go see a doctor now because this is not normal.
It is mental illness.
But it's sad because I graduated Stowe. I'm a Stowe graduate. My son graduated, and my daughter said, I think I'm done with Stowe. So we open enrolled at a different school, a surrounding school, because and she's better for it. She's in the 6th District Compact. She's going to do the nursing thing. So she's at Kemp most of the day anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, I can't go back there, Mom. I don't want to go back there.
That's a shame.
And that's because your daughter is a tough girl.
Yeah.
There's she can take a lot of stuff, and she's got a head on her shoulders, but for her to literally just say, it's literally too psychotic is what I'm getting here. It's too psychotic.
Yeah. I mean, she was holding her urine all day, before, like 10th grade, because she was afraid to go in the bathroom because there was so much stuff going on in there that she, and the principal at the time said, if anybody's caught in there while any of this is going on, you also get suspended.
Yeah.
Or, and it's like, she's like, I can't even go in there in peace. So she would come home from school, get off the bus and run in the house. Like, all hell's breaking loose. And so
and it was.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and it's sad because it's like, but she's so happy.
Good.
She's so happy where she's at, and she advocated for herself, and I'm proud of her. And that's what I want my kids to do, both of them.
Absolutely.
My son's in the Air Force, and he's making me proud every day.
Yeah.
I miss him dearly. He's overseas.
But he's getting it.
He's getting it, and he's understanding what it. He'll tell me on the phone, Mom, I understand what you meant when you said this.
Yeah.
And as a parent, it makes your heart.
You did your job.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, and I don't have to worry about him.
Right.
I know he's going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I know my daughter's going to make it. She might be, a little bit more feisty, and need a little bit more direction because she is feisty.
Well, you and your husband are both Italian, right?
Well, yeah, partially.
Well, there's Italian in there.
Yeah,
That's the feistiness.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, and then my husband's German too, so there's some more feisty.
I'm just a mutt. I got Scottish English French. Yeah.
It's Heinz 57.
Yeah, I'm a mutt.
Yeah. But no, it's really a scary place. Again, just saying what you said, and that piggybacks on what I was talking about with these kids. It's weird. Mm-hmm. And when you have weird and you see weird and it's weird, you're going to get fed up with that.
And then
eventually.
when you call it weird, you get called all kinds of names for calling it weird.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't do that.
You can't do that. You can't say, that's a little weird. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh, you're this and you're that. And, so she was getting that end of it too,
This leads me into something else I wanted to talk about too. And this is one thing that I can't stand. We kind of touched on it with the mom that we know with the daughter with the blackface incident that happened. But with those types of things, if a kid's like takes a litter box to school and another kid says, you're weird, man. That's not, you're human. Mm-hmm. And you're literally, they might say more.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, because the kid is right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. The parents could get sued.
Right.
And all of a sudden now we have this issue and it's hit our schools really bad. And unfortunately, the administration and a lot on the board of education is guilty of this. And that's turning a victim into the criminal.
Right.
And so people in this school district, parents especially, can be victimized by the administration, and the administration gets all the cover. All of a sudden the administration gets what the victim should. The victim is treated like the criminal, and now you have to go out and find an attorney if you can afford one. If you can't, you're screwed. Your kids are completely devastated probably for the rest of their life.
It's something that they're not going to get over. That's for sure. You know, and again, let's swing it around. We've been doing this to help the kids,
right?
Not just my kids, not just your kids, not just your kids, all of the different kids,
right?
You know, and I got into a little Facebook conversation, you know, and they're like, well, that's how I don't want you to speak for me or my kids. That's fine,
right?
You know, this is just a general statement. You know, we put stuff out there. We've been called keyboard warriors. You know, well, you know, we do a lot of work, and that, you know, but anything that I put out there, I'll say it to your face.
I've invited people to my house.
Yes.
Yeah.
I give them my address.
I'm not worried or nothing. I've got a family. You know, I've got to work.
Well, we're not just keyboard warriors, just, you know, spewing off threats on. I mean, we don't do that. Whatever we put out there comes from hours and hours of research.
And there's been times that you've had to take a break.
Yep.
There's been times that Matt has had to take a break.
I was trying really hard before I started this.
I know. You went AWOL for a while.
I did.
And then he's like, okay, let's go big or go home. So here we sit. But, you know, and I've taken breaks, you know, but.
Well, let me tell you what a conversation can do. Okay. So the postcard, obviously, we get it all the time. But every once in a while, you find people that don't like the platform. They think that we're nothing but divisive because they're not really paying it. And again, it's just typing. You're not really talking to somebody. Do you guys remember a guy, because this isn't his real name, so I'm going to use it, Esteban Antonio Trainer.
Yes.
Okay. So we just outlandish, you know, we just went after him and because he was, and it was incredible because this guy, first of all, looked just like the picture he was using. This is an incredibly good looking dude who was built like a brick, right?
Good eye candy. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I'm just saying, I was taken aback.
Whoa.
So I told him, I go, listen, dude, I go, let's hook up, you know, and I said it kind of not like easy, Fencl. Before we met, when we were arguing and everything, I go, hey, if you want to meet, you know, let's meet, you know, let's do it. And I said, I gave him my address. He's like, you know what? It was Beef O'Brady's at the time. He goes, no, let's go to Beef O'Brady's. I go, scared of me.
I remember that night.
So I go up there and he comes in and, you know, and just, I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And he sits down and he starts talking. We started with a good conversation and then he said something and I just flipped. And it was my fault. That first one, I flipped out. I'm screaming, I'm pointing, I'm up and I'm got my finger in his face and I'm like, this dude's going to get up and kill me. Well, I'm doing it. And so after that, I finally walked out and he wound up texting me. He's like, dude, I think you misunderstood. You know, and so we had this text thing and we decided to try it again. So I said, he's never coming to meet me again. But I said, come to my house. I go, I'm working on my truck.
The popular truck.
The popular truck. It's the most famous truck in the Stowe.
Yep.
Because usually
it's always sitting on blocks.
At least for a month at a time. Yeah. So I said, I was working on, I said, why don't you come out? So he comes out and he pulls into the driveway and he has his dog with him. And his dog is half wolf and half something else. And I'm like, my God, he is going to kill me and feed me to his dog. And so I'm working. And so he comes over, he grabs a chair and I'm working on the truck. And we had the greatest conversation. We were able to iron everything out. The dog was really cool.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, if I just say this word, I go, don't say that word. Whatever word it is, I need those. So, but we had a great conversation. And this is somebody who was on the postcard who we all just went crazy. But it's funny because I've made that offer to other people before. And I've said, let's sit down and talk. For instance, man-made global warming, okay? Or man-made global climate change. I had told people, I'm really on board with that. I said, I just don't believe that we're changing the weather. I said, I believe in clean air, clean water, and we need to go after these companies. So really, we're all pretty much right there. I said, why not work together to get to a solution. And you know what they tell me? No, you don't believe in science. Why would I work with you? So those are the people that this is why the postcard still exists. That mentality. You're either 100% with me or you're against me.
Well, and that is a very big saying with some of our community leaders.
Trying to leave out names.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave out names.
You. Yeah.
If you're not with me,
you're against
me.
You're against me.
You know,
and it's not just with them, 100% with
100%.
Right.
You know, I had offered to help with a project with a local nonprofit, and they told me, we don't want you. We don't want you to help us.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I offered it. I was not trying to
take over anything.
No, right. I was trying to come in there because I thought what they were doing was good. And I was going to come in there and volunteer. And they said, don't bother. We don't want you. You're with the postcard, you know. So
that's not very inclusive.
It's not inclusive.
That doesn't sound inclusive to me either.
No.
Or the way that they use the word inclusive. I'll go, inclusivity.
Yes.
Inclusive and missive. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. No, but I mean, just, we have to have the ability, even though we have disagreed. We have disagreed on certain things, but we're still all talking to each other, and we're still like, I'm not talking to you because you don't believe what I just said. That's not how humans should be dealing with each other.
No.
Right.
The only time that we really have a problem with Matt is when he's doing voice to text.
Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah.
I'll leave that button alone.
Testing.
Can you hear me? Yeah. No, it really is, because really the whole idea of evolution is finding ways together to solve problems. Right. And we don't do that anymore. We don't have honest conversations anymore.
Right.
And with the postcard, we three have always had honest conversations. Anybody who has engaged with us, whether they've always been wholly conservative or whatever, or people that just come out and say, you know what, I really couldn't stand you guys, but you were right. And they, can you keep my name silent? And we do. Yeah. But it's like there are honest conversations. And if people aren't willing to have those honest conversations, it's because they have their own agenda, in my opinion. And the postcard is one of those places where we expose that agenda, not to be conspiracy theorists, not to be mean.
Nope.
Got tons of other stuff to do, man. But we expose that because when we talk about the school district, we're worried about the end game when it comes to the kids. Yep. When we talk about the city, we're worried about senior citizens, how they're going to be able to afford their prescriptions and everything else. That's what the Stoneman Row Falls postcard is about. That's what Jeanne Fencl is about. And that's what Deena Weber is about. And I don't know why people don't.
That's what you're all about.
Yeah, but I'm the one talking.
I know, but I wanted to be inclusive with you.
I was being diverse. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what we're all about. Now, if you're watching this and you're not a member of the postcard and you've heard all these bad things, give it a shot. Start talking to us a little bit, or at least understand that we're not the horrible people. We're the ones trying to expose the truth, save you money, and get the bang for the buck.
Right. And another thing is, we're the only Stowe page that doesn't censor.
Correct.
Most people will leave on their own if they disagree. And usually if something like that happens, I do say, well, this person has left. But if we could get how everybody came together just on the superintendent thing, if we could get all these people together, and let's put these agendas aside.
Right.
We don't have room for your personal agendas.
No.
They should not be there. If you can't be partial and be able to listen to this side and this side, come to agreement, or I agree to disagree.
Right. Well, I don't do that.
Well,
anymore.
if you notice too, like, they have all these little committees. It's always the same people in these committees.
Yeah.
We need to diversify that a little bit more. And some of us, it's hard. I know sometimes because we all work, we all have other things going on. But we really need to start getting more involved in our communities. Like I said, I've tried before with certain things and I've been shot down just because of my name.
Who you talk to, what you do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How can we get to that point where people start actually listening to each other, regardless of, whether you're black, white, conservative, liberal, independent,
sexual preference.
sexual
None of
preference.
that is anybody's business but your own.
Solving problems should be something that we all want to do together.
Yes.
If it's a problem, then we should all be willing to solve it.
Yeah.
Which I agree. And I think that one of the big answers to this is what this show is about. And this show is about community involvement. The idea is, if you think that there's any sense to what we talk about on the postcard or on this radio show, the whole idea is to put pressure on. And you can't do that with just a few people. The postcard is really a few people who engage and a lot of people that watch. And we need to flip that. More people need to engage, because these decisions, these moral and decisions that are going to affect people for a very long time, 35 years when it comes to this levy, when it comes to the kids, the rest of their lives. So there is a lot on the line that we talk about. And the only way to start flipping that is for people to come out and start going to school board meetings, start going to city council meetings, and question after the meeting. When it's done, go up and question in mobs. And that's
you
putting
have
the pressure
to,
on.
and I will say this, my rule is I will not speak to anyone one-on-one.
Right.
As far as, like, let's just say like a board member. I may say hi or, like that, but I will not get in any type of detailed conversation. I want it in writing. So I will do, you're saying this, I'll call people out, then show us why is it so hard to get an answer?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's not about actually getting the truth. It's just about the sheer amount, I think, the weight of people in your face. And that's, when you start going, wow, whatever your agenda is, whatever your idea, wow, we might be screwing up big time here.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's at.
Yep.
Ladies. Gentleman. It was so nice having you guys here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
This was a lot of fun.
And we'll do it again too.
Yeah.
Just some updates, but I thought it was important to introduce everybody to us talking. They don't, every once in a while they'll talk to you or you, but not everybody knows who you guys are. And I just wanted to get that out there. We're there for the community.
We really made him mad, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now people know what we look like.
Okay. I need to end this show. Listen, again, it was awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Again, you can find the Stoneman Row Falls Voice. Let's see, we're talking about the postcard on SMF Voice on Spotify, SMF Voice on Facebook, SMF Voice on YouTube. I'm going to wind up doing another couple social media sites, but that's going to be down the line. I need to get some help doing this eventually. But and then email, at Stoneman Row, smfvoice@twc.com. Wherever you go, like it, share it, and just be a part of the show. Let's keep this thing going and actually start having a good conversation. Again, the live shows are going to be starting. I will have a phone bank, and we will be taking calls live on the air eventually. So stick with me, and I appreciate everybody who has.
Awesome.
Until then, I will see you week after next.
Yes.
And make sure that you hit up Silver Springs Park for the haunted hayride.
My granddaughter's going to love
Oh,
that.
she will too. On Saturday, October 12th. Again, the link will be underneath this video. Till later, have a good one, kids. Thanks for joining us.